Coming up in this webisode of Waverly Village Council.
The purpose of this ordinance is to reduce the salaries of the village Waverly Council members from $24 per year to $1,500 per year.
When we was given this raise, the same time they give the auditor and the mayor a $12,000 raise, and we got $100 a month, and they got a $1,000 a month raise. I think it's wrong to cut our pay and not cut the mayor's and the auditor's pay too. So for that reason, I will not vote for it. But if they agree to cut the rest of the salary, then I'll go along with it. But until they do, I won't.
This is a step that I think council needs to take personally, and then we can move forward and ask department heads and others to do their part. But at least we've taken a step forward and shown that we're willing to take a cut. At the same time, we're asking them to make sacrifices.
When a person learns that they have cancer, it's overwhelming. Their life changes. I volunteer because of cancer in my own family. My brother had cancer, and I just want to give back what I saw done for members in my own family. SOMC Cancer Center has some advantages that I think you won't find other places. It's all here under one roof. The patients come in and out with smiles on their face. It's being done right here in our own little town of Portsmouth.
The SOMC Cancer Center. Very good things are happening here.
Ordinance 82-2011. The purpose of this ordinance is to reduce the salaries of the village Waverly Council members from $24 per year to $1,500 per year.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I have something I want to say about that. As I've said in the previous meeting, before when this was brought up by Mr. Councilman Denver over here, I am against reducing the council pay, but I have no objection to reducing it. But when we was given this raise, at the same time they give the auditor and the mayor a $12,000 raise, and we got $100 a month, and they got a $1,000 a month raise. Well, there's a lot of difference there. I mean, I didn't vote for either one for the raise, and I didn't vote for, and so I can't be blamed for that. But I think it's wrong to cut our pay and not cut the mayor's and the auditor's pay too. Now, the other thing I have to say about it, this year alone, I've cautioned this council many times about the shutting down of NASCO. And for example, I'm going to bring this up. For example, council went ahead and hired part-time employees for the mayor's office, tax office, and numerous other departments in spite of my warning. I did not vote for that. Now you want to cut council's pay and not the mayor or the auditor's job, as they were given a much bigger raise than any of us at that time. If you're going to cut salaries, then let's look at the raises and not make it just one-sided thing. For council voted in a big pay raise. I'm going to throw this in too, which I didn't vote for. Several years ago for a $6,000 raise on the mayor's office and an $8,000 raise in the tax office. Why not look at reducing those salaries? If you take, for example, I got here, you take the $12,000 you would save by cutting the mayor's job, $12,000 you keep cutting the auditor's office, that's $24,000 right there for the city would save next year. And you take the $6,000 and the $8,000 that you give the mayor's secretary and the tax director, that's $14,000. And then you take the part-time employees, which I didn't vote for this year, that they hired, it's probably another $30,000 that you would save. If the council was willing to reduce these salaries, both the mayor and the auditor, and lay off all the part-time employees for approximately a $68,000 savings to the city, then I would look at reducing my salary. This is not going to be a one-sided thing, in my opinion. I figure fair is fair, and we was all given these raises at one time. If you're going to cut one, you're going to cut them all. But the main thing I want the council, what people to really realize, that the council was given a $100 raise, which is the first raise they've had for as many years as I've been on there, and they give $1,000 a month to the auditor and the mayor, which is $12,000. Again, if you look at cutting them all back, they would save $68,000 when we're running next year to the city, and could possibly save probably maybe 3 or 4 people from being laid off for the lack of money coming in the finances. So for that reason, I will not vote for it. But if they agree to cut the rest of salary, then I'll go along with it. But until they do, I won't. It's not fair to everybody here.
This ordinance speaks only to council salaries. If Councilman Blakeman feels that other salaries should be cut, I'm sure he could sponsor an ordinance to that effect. But this ordinance speaks only to council. I think council has an obligation to be conscious of the budget problems and to do their part. And granted, there are other things, other savings that are going to have to be taken into consideration in the coming months. But this ordinance speaks only to one item, and I think that's all that we're voting on this evening.
Well, then I tell you what we could do. We could just go ahead and put an amendment in on this and put reducing the mayor and auditor's wages in that same thing. We can give, that's no problem. If that's, you say that's the only people's in there, we can put some more in there, you know. Like I said, when this ordinance was passed by this council and you was on there, Dick, and you voted for it, you give the mayor the same kind of raise at the same time.
I was not a member of council when that was enacted for us.
Okay.
The only thing I would really like to see it go through the 3 readings, so when we have a newest member of council, they at least have some. And the only thing I don't like there is, had all of us been voted out, our last act out of office could have been cutting the pay raise for everyone that replaced us. And I just don't like necessarily cutting a guy's pay raise that ran for office under one salary, and he gets here and finds out the last thing we did at the end of the year before he walked up was cut his pay. And the second, and this wasn't even an issue till I had someone kind of challenge me with it that was discussing this. And actually, you know what, this is what I've thought more about, is the fact that this was viewed in their eyes as a cowardly way out for council. Because we can say we've done something. We've cut our pays $900 and we're working on it, rather than take the time to meet with the department heads, because I guarantee they all know there's pay cuts coming. And I guarantee there's a lot of people that rather see us toughen up, take the time, do this as part of the bigger picture. And
I think we can still do that.
And we probably can, but my thought is we can walk out of here tonight and say, yay, we did something. And
Well,
feel like it buys us a little
This is not the
time.
last thing that we do. I would be ashamed of council if this were the last thing we were to do in this situation. This is a step that I think council needs to take personally, and then we can move forward and ask department heads and others to do their part. But at least we've taken a step forward and shown that we're willing to take a cut. At the same time, we're asking them to make sacrifices.
We are barely under the level where PERS and stuff would be allowed to pay in. And I mean, eventually when we did this, we had discussions of trying to get this at some point. I guess we can make a bigger jump later, where someone that had worked in the public that was close to getting time in on PERS might want to run for council to use that to buffer time.
What is it, $250 a month for full-time?
Yeah, it's $50 more a month, and they would be able to buffer that toward time. And I mean, at the time, part of that was a conversation about I guess you just say the apathy of people's input wanting to come onto council and, you know, we've had a lot of uncontested seats, and that was part of, I mean, it's a piece of why we got
The
there.
$2,400 certainly didn't help, did it?
No, it didn't, but we didn't get to the level where someone could bolster their PERS if they had anything in it to put time in.
Well, I think we should definitely at least let it go through 3 readings, so then we have a council that will be sitting for 2 years, totally. A full 7, I mean.
That's kind of
That's
my
right.
opinion also. The ordinance is, as read, is to dispense with the second and third. And we have a motion and second, so we'll need to vote. Is there any more discussion? Call the roll.
Thompson. Jimlo.
Aye.
Bevins.
Nay.
Patterson.
No.
Blakeman.
No, nay.
Fisher. Kempton.
No. That fails. We can bring that back later. Like I said, I'd like it to be something more of a more comprehensive policy where we've done a little bit more work than a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.